Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Couple channel. I'm Wendy and here is my review for Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is a live-action animated remake of Disney's 2002 animated film of the same title. It follows the story of Lilo, a young human girl who lives in Hawaii, and her close encounter with the galaxy's most wanted extraterrestrial. Now, I love the original Lilo and Stitch. I became pretty obsessed with the original film. I love the heartwarming moments that are in it, the relationship between Lilo and Stitch, and just the overall cuteness and how it really just encompasses and it happens all on the island of Hawaii. Now in 2025, we have a live action remake of the same movie. And honestly, at first, I was not really thrilled about this. I was worried that they would either make it an exact copy, basically like a shot for shot, which in that case, why are we making the film when we already have the best thing out there, which is the original animated, or two, they would change it and it would lose the heart that everybody loved about that movie. I gotta say, I think Disney has a hit on their hands. I really enjoy the live action Lilo and Stitch. It does follow obviously the similar beats, but it's not an exact copy for copy. In fact, there were some iconic moments that I actually did want to see in the live action that they didn't have in this movie. When it all comes down to it, I think the best part about this movie is the relationship between Lilo and Stitch, and the young actress who plays Lilo is perfection. She is like a carbon copy of the animated version of Lilo, just plucked off the pages of the cartoon and dropped into live action. Her mannerism, the way she sounds, and she's like sassy in delivering some of her lines, just as Lilo would, and I think that plays a big part into it, and it came really natural to her. It didn't feel like it was forced or acted. The look of Stitch in this movie also looks really good. He's got the right amount of fluff, causing all the mischief and destruction everywhere he goes. And I was worried that, not that we were going to have like an ugly Sonic kind of a moment, but I was just worried that it wasn't going to look good. It was going to, I don't know I was just worried because a lot of the times animated things that are beloved and animated doesn't really translate well to live action. But in this case, I really think they nailed it. And I think what this movie also leaned into equally as strongly as the original film is the situation between Lilo and Nani. And not really a situation between them, but their situation. And how the social worker keeps coming to sort of check on Lilo, making sure the living condition is okay. And can they survive? And does Nani have a job? Can she provide for Lilo a good life? Not just like being able to live at home, but like an education, all of it. And I think that plays into like a big part of that being the heart of the movie, because it makes you care. It makes you care about Lilo and Nani, and you want to root for them. So when Stitch comes in, you see that he provides a little piece of something that Lilo was really missing. She doesn't really have any friends, and Stitch provided that. But Stitch also was cause of a lot of the issues that arose that, cause problems when it comes to the social worker's investigation. Now, something they did quite differently in this movie is they included David's grandmother in this one, and they actually used quite a couple of legacy, and I call them legacy actors because they were in the original, they were like the original voices in Lilo and Stitch, and we do see a couple of them. I like that the way they use them, but I feel like they kind of relied a little bit too heavily on David's grandmother, where I felt like she saved the day a lot, which is great, but I wanted it to be a little bit closer to the original, where it was Nani and Lilo coming together and using their sister bond, and then this new bond that they formed with Stitch to kind of do that. But I also like what they did in the new one, because I think it gives it more like that sense of community. I want to talk about the aliens that we see in this film, specifically Jumba and Pleakley, who are probably the greatest comedic relief in the Lilo and Stitch film. I mean, Stitch provides plenty of comedy moments, but it's the pairing of Jumba and Pleakley who, one is so excited to be on Earth and to explore all things Earth has to offer, including mosquitoes, which I thought was really hilarious. And Jumba, who really only has one mission, which was to capture Experiment 66, his creation, aka Stitch. So we have them really not being in their alien forms. If you saw the trailer, if you haven't seen the trailer, exit out of this video. There might be a little bit of spoilers because I am going to refer to the trailer. And honestly, I didn't mind too much that they were in their human forms a little bit. They did it via kind of like a cloaking disguise so that humans wouldn't freak out, because technically they're not supposed to interfere when they come into, when they're visiting Earth, and they want to try to fit in as much as possible. I just felt that when they were in their human forms, well, I think specifically for Jumba, I really didn't feel this way for Pleakley, because Pleakley in the human form was still acting as Pleakley would, and Jumba to me just felt too human. Once he got past the initial stage of like learning how to walk and move in his human body, I don't know. It was like that. It felt a little flat for me, unfortunately. And because of that, when we later propel into the climax in the third act, where Jumba is really close to capturing, he's like going all out. He's like, I'm going to catch Stitch no matter what. It just didn't play as well. Like, I felt like I wasn't invested in him wanting to get Stitch, or I wasn't as invested for Stitch to like get away from him. It could be because I've already seen the film and I know what happens, but I still wanted to feel the tension there, and his sort of like catch him at all cost. I didn't feel it. It wasn't really quote unquote dangerous. Another missing point was another alien from their planet, and that is Gantu, this massive kind of like a shark looking character that a lot of people liked. I know it's not a main character, but plays a pretty big part in Stitch's capture, and made zero appearance in the film, which was kind of disappointing. And I don't know if it's because of like CGI budgets and they just didn't want to do it, and that's why they, used Jumba and Pleakley to kind of play that role as well. And that could also be why I feel like the third act felt really flat. Like, yes, we got to the end point and we had our Ohana heartwarming moment at the end, but it just didn't play as exciting as it did in the original with Gantu. And I think it would have been so cool to see Gantu on screen in live action form. So I feel like we as the audience really missed out on that. And one more thing that I wish we had seen, and I know it doesn't have to be copy for copy, but this was like the one scene I really want them to put in, but it's Stitch reading the Ugly Duckling book, and just him, like it shows him that he's also lonely. It wasn't just Lilo who felt that way, or Nani who felt alone in the situation that she's in, that Stitch also felt alone and lonely. And I wanted to kind of have that really emotional moment, and they didn't have it. But I feel like those emotional moments that they did put in, whether old or new, still played, still worked. I still cared for Lilo and Stitch and I wanted to root for them. So I think mission accomplished. I really enjoyed it. I think this is one of Disney's best live action adaptations to date. And I think after that, not, in no particular order, but I would put Cinderella and the Jungle Book up there for, some of Disney's best live actions. But this really did it for me. Do I wish they included a couple other things? Absolutely. But it also means that this wasn't a copy for copy, shot by shot sort of a live action adaptation. And I'm happy with it. So with that said, I'm going to give Lilo and Stitch a check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to comment your thoughts on the movie once you've seen it in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next video.